you to the computer, and I just want to introduce you. So switch that off, Chris, and I just want to
Okay.
introduce who you are. Right. So hi everybody. I guess this is our third talk of the week, and we've had Chris here before. Chris is, I guess, an interesting character in my space. From the beginning, I saw Chris's work. He's an interesting, I guess, illustrator, artist, mark maker, um, and educator, as I found out more. But when Chris did a few courses for us, you could easily see he's a born natural for teaching and sharing knowledge and passing that knowledge across. So I guess over to you, Chris, because you're the master class here, and it's great to have you back.
Perfect. Lovely. Thank you very much for that very kind introduction, Patrick. Yeah, it's been lovely with all of our collaborations in the past. So I'm going to share my screen. Welcome, everyone. Participation, if you want to, is encouraged. I don't know if people want to communicate in the chat. Feel free to, please. So I'm going to share across and we will get going. So I'm guessing that if you've joined, then you'll know who I am. And I was just going to say, if anyone wants to, I just said in the meantime, just say hi in the chat and just type a line describing your work. It'd be nice to trying to see if I know anyone in here. Okay, great. Yeah, just describing your own work. Put your name and just say whether I work in mixed media, for example, or I enjoy soft pastels too, or something like that. It'd be interesting to hear from you. So, yes, the talk basically is just a little bit about me. I've called it Drawing Insights. So it's a bit of a mix, a bit of history, and how I do what I do, why I do what I do. Um, I'm probably happiest doing fashion illustration. You can see here. Yes, this is one of my pieces, just done in soft pastels. I'm probably most known for doing soft pastel work. Those dirty soft pastels, the powder that gets everywhere. I absolutely love it. So yeah, that's what I'm known for. A bit just about me. I graduated from the University of the West of England. It was a good program and very local to me because I was born in Bristol in the UK. So I've got a degree in illustration and basically have been working as an artist and an educator since graduating in 2001. Um, It's always interesting to pass on some business advice, but one of my early tactics was back in 2001. I came out of university and I was just sending lots of spam emails with images of my work to every art director around the globe. I would queue up 500 emails, and and it worked. It actually worked. It got my work onto the monitors of art directors around the world. I developed some contacts in Barcelona, also in New York as well. But obviously, spam filters have become more efficient since then. So not the best way of marketing yourself these days, unfortunately. Um, or maybe fortunately for some. Yeah, I've lived in Japan for 2 years, where I was teaching English, and I was also working for an agency as well, who were based in Tokyo. They had a Tokyo branch. And lived in Spain for 5. I lived in Barcelona and Madrid. And absolutely no doubt, that's had a big impact on my aesthetic. I did work for clients in Barcelona. Didn't do too much illustration work in Madrid. Just did some early paintings for my son when he was born. So yeah, that was my artistic endeavor when I was in Spain. Um, what my aesthetic is basically, I've been described as having a loose and colorful aesthetic. Patrick has also described me as using quite a lot of color, lots of marks. Um, I don't like to make things feel too finished, and part of that is just because I enjoy the process, and I like to leave it a little bit open for people to see. So there is a lot of what people might call unfinished, blurring. There's lots of evidence of underdrawing, line work, and the reason for that, or my reason for leaving those, is just because I like the kind of raw feel of those marks. I really appreciate marks, just in general, whether it's soft pastels. This one in blue is a Posca marker, which is an acrylic marker, and I love the marks that you get. I love these little fade outs toward the end, the kind of raggedy ends that you get. Yeah, so I leave those in. Um, and I also like the fact that people have to perhaps fill in some of the blanks. So I won't necessarily explain shapes fully, um, because I want people to, try to understand what's in the shadows, try to understand some of the detail, and fill it in yourself from your own palette of reference. Um, you can see here I leave a lot of faces undone. And that really is because the shapes are so important for me. Structurally, they hold a piece together. We're going to have a look at a little bit of just a slight history of my shape making over a period of years when we get there. So, yes, um, that's kind of some of my aesthetic. Something else that helps to explain who I am quintessentially is somebody who works in 2D but has worked in 3 dimensions. So I have stone carved. I have made lots of maquettes. I used to use papier-mâché to create and then carve back and refine large sculptures. So I always really enjoyed making things three-dimensional. I love the work of people like Henry Moore, where there's a real appreciation for negative space. So for me, as exciting as what is there is also what is not there. I love these little recesses, the shapes that are left, to become frames framing whatever's behind it, or just inviting you to come in and feel like you could walk around it. So that hopefully explains a little bit of why I leave things undone. I also try to understand three-dimensionality of things, and just to break things down into really simple shapes, like arms become tubes, cylinders, bodies become kind of flat rectangles, or flat squashed rectangles. Faces or heads become balls. So it's just understanding and almost trying to anticipate being able to turn things around. And a lot of my work has that kind of feeling, even though it is two-dimensional. This is some of my drawing from just around the city. Since a long time ago, I've just been going into cafes and sitting on steps and just doing kind of urban sketching. So it's just trying to understand really, really quickly the form that a sitting person takes, trying to understand that weight and the way that their limbs fall around them. Um, yeah, so I really enjoy that. It's part of the process for me. Just going to continue on through. So the last thing that I would say really on just sort of aesthetics is just a love for distilling the process. And I guess in a way that's something that I do for the viewer anyway. So it's just leaving things slightly undone. gives them a clue, a little piece of map to help them to understand how it was made. Um, so mixing my teaching, because I'm also an English teacher, I've been teaching for 20 years-ish, maybe even longer. And I use a lot of English teaching techniques to teach drawing because it's a language, and I believe that you need to develop fluency with it. You can build skills, like core skills, which would be like grammar. It would be like, drawing different things like vocabulary. But building fluency is the kind of mark making and understanding form. So being able to kind of speak in that language, or, in this case, communicate visually. So yeah, we'll have a look at these a little bit more. This is me trying to we'll have a look at the video for this anyway, but just trying to kind of allow students into, the 5 minutes of play that achieves these kinds of textures. Just loose stages, which allow you to create things that have a playful feel to them. Perhaps they have a more experimental feel to them, and then introducing things like refining stages. So yes, as you can see here. So yeah, we'll have a look at the video of that in a little bit. Clients and collaborations, that's important. So I was featured in Vogue in 2021. It feels like a little while ago now, but it was a kind of bucket list type thing, and I did put it in here. This was it was a Jean-Paul Gaultier haute couture number, and it was during lockdown when Vogue said, we can't run shows, so we'd love to have some illustration, which is just, epic. And I think kind of it says really that just introducing someone's kind of personal take on someone else's creative work, on Jean-Paul Gaultier's creative work, is just an interesting twist. It's an interesting perspective, and it kind of links to what I'm going to say later about the intersection between art and fashion. So just going back up, I also produced the book cover for the Guardian art critic, Jonathan Jones's retrospective of artist Artemisia Gentileschi. And I was quite proud of that, just, what she stands for, her strength as a person, as an artist. And that was my work for the book, which I think has done quite well. So it just really proud to be part of that. You can see here there's a lot of portrait work that forms part of my portfolio, and a lot of quite emotive portrait work, which sometimes isn't necessarily present in fashion work, just because it doesn't need to be present. The body shapes, the garments are the focus. So absolutely, there's a shift in perspective. But I do like to draw the attention to the face, because I think there's a lot of emotion, and in the body as well. Love those hands. Also produced an illustrated catalogue for Zara. Worked for Hint Mag New York, did some really, really interesting animations of a Federico Fellini theme, where we were sort of contorting models and having them. The whole thing was called Falling. So we did some animation together, which was wonderful. I've done work, hung work in hotels, had things reproduced in hotels around the world in a few different countries. Events organizers have used, I had something almost get into the New York Public Library, but not quite, didn't quite make the cut. And I've worked with art materials brands like Winsor & Newton. I've done a campaign with them. And ongoing is a collaboration between Royal Talens and myself, because I do enjoy using the materials. This isn't a plug for the materials, but I do use the soft pastels of Royal Talens, which are called Rembrandts. and they're great. Um, yes, and I created and delivered. I love just producing my own courses, distilling my own work, and um, breaking it down into tasks that you can produce, so teaching concepts, and then allowing you to play with those concepts and kind of build to a finished drawing at the end of each lesson. I really enjoy that design and understanding, how people learn. And I also draw cats as well, people. Uh, these are some of my cats. I love drawing cats. There's quite a crossover, isn't there, Patrick? Quite a few people that draw fashion enjoy cats. Am I wrong?
Cats and dogs.
Cats
Dogs,
and dogs.
dogs have
Yes.
become the new. I think Marc Jacobs is doing lots of dog stuff with Joe Bird. We're
Nice.
seeing lots of bags being personal. It's funny, they've done dogs, but they haven't done cats because I think you bring your dog into the shop and they do a portrait of the
Yes.
dog. But
Ah, okay. Oh,
no cats
nice.
come to the shops yet.
Cats don't generally come into to the shelves.
No,
They're
no.
quite as portable as dogs. Fantastic. Yeah. I love the shapes in cats. I mean, they're so opposable. Like you can just put them into different shapes. A loaf, for example. And they're so curious. They can be really elegant or just really cute. This chap is just kind of vertical. And then they can form these. Is it the kind of Fibonacci? What's
Golden
the
circle.
curve?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, just the way they're shaped just lends itself to composition. They're just brilliant. They're so curvaceous. So yeah, really interesting. Dogs are great as well. They're very angular. A lot of the time. Well, my dog is. Um, so let's continue. We've had a look at these two. I'm probably never happier than when I am trying out different mediums. I love to work in different mediums. These are, I don't know if anyone can guess what the medium is there. Anyone
Felt
guess?
tips.
Yeah, yeah, kind of. Yeah, these are alcohol markers, and I think there is some. It might be felt tip for the dark. It might be a
Bleeding. Yeah.
Sharpie. Yeah, but I love that bleeding effect. And this one here, I don't know if anyone could guess what this is. Any idea?
Is it a roller?
It does look like a roller, doesn't it? Yeah, I just realized that I was going to give that away. But yes, it is, in fact, it's really close
That's
to
like a
being a roller.
stamp.
It's a stamps, yeah. So they're like just ink pads, and you just use them directly. And
Nice.
it forces you to work with a rectangle as your tip.
Nice.
So you have to kind of, put little bits of masking tape on there if you want to just section bits off. But it really forces you to think, I was going to say outside of the box, but kind of in the box, really, in the square shaped box. So yeah, you get some interesting results. Inks as well. Absolutely love using inks. This was a large sheet of wet paper and just controlling when I put the marks on there. So do we want lots of bleed? Okay, onto the wet surface and then just wait for it to dry a little bit to get sharper marks. So yeah, just a little bit of calculation. Yeah, that was the first layer, and then just added two more colors. My color palette is normally triadic. I'm going to put this one in here. I didn't realize this until I did. I did a Domestika course called Expressive Portraits, but I realized when I was sort of looking back at my own process was that on the color wheel, you've got. Just going to just divide this up. Just picking from three opposite corners gives you the kind of, it's almost like the Superman palette. You've got your reds, your yellows, and your blues. And it's the most highly impacting, jarring, strongest combination of colors that can be very difficult to control. And I didn't realize that I've been working with it pretty much the whole time. All of my palette color schemes are kind of variations on the triadic scheme, interestingly enough. Um, yeah, just saying more with less. We touched on that a little bit toward the beginning. Um, just trying to leave out as much as possible, pushing bits to flat. Um, so here we've got something that was styled by, I think it was Lucinda Chambers. Um, and just, you know, again, kind of forced by the tools. This was done in um, oil pastels, and you can't get, when you're working with quite fine detail with an oil pastel, you just, you can't blend much. So really just embracing that. It goes back to what I said about switching media as much as possible, because every different type of medium is going to teach you something different. Um, Here again, just trying to leave bits. How much can you communicate with with the very small amount? So how much detail do you need? Just trying to remove things out, just trying to push things to like the highest level of contrast, the highest level of you know just black and white. How much can you play with that? Just leaving legs out, leaving shoulders out, and just playing with that. Just minimal bits of suggestion. So again, here, um, I like that. It fascinates me. Um, I swing though. I go from those very kind of loose things with big tools to using things at a larger scale and working things up, getting the fingers involved. Um, it's almost a kind of reaction, you know. I'm fed up with the detail, so I'm going to shake it off and we're going to go big. So, like a pendulum, I swing in two directions. One piece will be the reaction to the last. So here we've got pencil crayons on top of, I think it was like a, what's it called? Water soluble pencil crayons. I think the whole thing is in water soluble pencil crayons. So you can see lots and lots of subtlety. You got really into it, probably with a good few cups of tea. Um, with this one here, we got markers. So again, they're just standard markers, like kids markers. Just trying to push what's possible with them. You can't blend with them. So break it down into lines and fragment things and have the viewer put it together on the page. This is soft pastels again, just, getting into it, just a lot more definition, just playing with color this time, playing with the notion of the Terminator line, where you get all of these lovely colors just coming through, both in the shadow, but along that line between the light and the dark. So yeah, really making the most of that. Yes. Yeah. Okay, let's come out of that. We'll go to, yeah, so the importance of shape in my work. I'm not sure kind of how much time we've got, but I was just going to show you just the evolution of shape in my work. Just going back to 2017 was when I kind of came back to working, found a channel, found a platform in the form of Instagram. It was very different back then, as everyone will tell you. Back in the days when, you would just see everything in order. I don't even think there was an algorithm. But yeah, 2017. So some of these pieces are even from before that. But you can see the use of shape is very arbitrary. It's very, very playful. Huge shapes contrasted with really, really, thin stick-like things just disappearing. Lots and lots of texture. Playing with kind of more sculptural forms. So how shapes relate to each other, people having conversation, kind of like two magnets. So really, really playing, but things feeling quite stiff. not really getting to grips with it, still very, very much playing. And then going to 2018, where things, I realized that you didn't have to include all the information. So just, understanding that the background can take over some of that work, and things get lost between, different areas of dark. So why not play with it? I can't remember what the Christopher, I can't remember what the designer was. This, yeah, again, just, in here, just playing with collage, just losing bits, just trying to understand what shapes would do, but not really thinking too much about composition. Um, that was a little bit later. 2019, again, going through a real stage of just sort of leaving things out, just minimalist, seeing what the material would do, seeing what the medium would do. You've got those stamp markers again, and lots of missing body pieces. Yeah. Um, just things kind of bleeding out. In 2020, trying to or starting to kind of understand a little bit more about composition, just knowing how to bring the viewer's eye up into the composition, and around, and trying to kind of find areas to capture their interest in detail and move things along with more abstract shapes. 2021, again, just trying to refine that and find the right balance, fluidity and all of those things with different materials. 2022, again, just mixing the more abstract shapes with a bit more refinement. Yeah. So kind of pasting on, you know, texture, pasting on a bit more subtlety onto these more structured shapes that were deliberately, about composition. Where do you lead the eye in? How does it travel around? Where does it land? Most contrasting elements. So really starting to understand that. 2023, again, you see just more of an evolution of that, just understanding slightly more complex forms. Here we've got just, I think just continuing with that, but just working in different mediums. We've got acrylic work and soft pastel work. 2025, this is from one of the more recent courses that I did on figures, which was a fashion focus. Just trying to, again, just understand sculpturally, like these negative spaces. So switching between two dimensions, for composition, where I'm trying to understand where the viewer's eye comes in and how to lead it up and around. This was just a still from a show. I can't remember which show. Emilio Pucci or something. I don't know. But yeah, and just trying to kind of work between three dimensions and two dimensions, three dimensions for form and two dimensions for composition, just fading that blue face out and trying to lead the eye up into this lovely warm yellow headdress. Yeah, just continuing on down. And this was just some I've just started to go back to life drawing at the beginning of this year, and I've been absolutely loving it. But trying to bring in some of my things that I've learned, just about trying to compose, have places where we can lead the viewer's eye in to give structure. So just recognizing some of those shapes and kind of, embracing them and changing them somewhat, or bringing them out more with more contrast. There's little bits of fashion in here, just a love of texture and being more interested in the cushion that she sat on than necessarily the form. Uh, so yeah, you can see kind of my evolution there. We were just going to go back across here, and I don't know if people are going to be able to answer, but I think we'll probably continue on from there. I was just going to give you a little kind of behind the scenes. This is where I do my work. It's the studio slash kitchen. It was quite a nice day when the sun was shining through. I had the parasol down. It looks quite fancy in this shot, but yeah, not everything ends up pink. By the way. I do manage to balance things a little bit. So that's where it all happens. And yes, I was going to show you just a little bit of process, some drawn, just some drawing from the video. Is that okay, Patrick?
Yeah, yeah, go on far away. Let's have a look.
Perfect. So I'm just going to bring this one up, and this one was basically this was from a class which was based around mark making expressly. So it was about taking a reference and just trying to recreate with the brush just the feeling of hair and just trying to kind of change your physical movement just so you're explaining it in what feels like the most natural way, the most direct way, perhaps. We worked through quite a few different materials and again just different references. Again, just working with the hair, trying to sort of shift between cooler colors and warmer colors, and again just different styles of things. I was going to just take you up to the yeah, this one here. So this was just the picture that we were looking at before, and it was a gentleman in a floral suit, and it's just the playful stage. I try and isolate a stage which is maybe 5 or 10 minutes of just being really, really loose. After I've understood what the shapes are, maybe in a previous drawing, just keeping it cheap, keeping it on cheap paper, keeping it on, copy paper that it doesn't matter. There's no fear that you're going to ruin a, £10 or €12 piece of paper. Um, so it's just splodging things on and just then being able to decide what I'm going to leave and what I'm going to refine. Literally just 5 minutes or so. And it's interesting to see what you can achieve by doing that. If you give yourself these loose stages. That was just going back to, I don't know if it's possible for me to, no. No, it's fine. Yes, and then just going up to one of the final demonstrations from this class, we just worked through a lot of just different materials, just making different marks. Um, yes, just really just playing and redrawing things without the reference. And then this was producing the final piece. Again, just loose stages, just using one brush for the whole thing, but just with a focus on trying to understand, how to move the brush around, how to get the marks that represent the textures. So these lovely soft textures against those quite hard shapes of the body. Just mixing, nice bit of mixed media here, just using that soft pastel there, and the acrylic marker as well. But just 3 tools, 3 colors, and it's interesting to see what you can achieve. So that brings us pretty much up to the end, and that was the final piece. So just a little bit of process there. I thought what might also be interesting, I think after this slide, there is the live event work. And yeah, one of the most interesting live events that I've attended, I haven't attended many, I'm going to say I've attended loads, was in Florence. It was just before the lockdown, it was just before COVID. And it's quite a big fashion show. The adult week is before, and then you've got the kids week. And I was invited to do something for yeah, it's I don't know what you would call it, but basically a kind of an industry catalog for all of the kids brands, all of the big kids brands across the world, really. So I was invited to go and to draw. Oh, they didn't know what they were letting themselves in for. Um, I was sat next to some people with some pretty fancy outfits, drawing at speed with soft pastels. Flipping, flipping my A3 sketch pad and drawing as fast as I could to try and get as much tone down. Everyone moved away from me. I parted the crowds. But it was good fun. It was really good fun. You can see some of the sets here. Yeah, lots and lots of big brands. Really, really interesting places. We were inside of like what felt like I think it was a monastery, and an old train shed. This was a train shed, this one here. Um, and came out with some really interesting drawings. This actually came from the one in the train shed, which was this one here. Um, and it was just I didn't draw, I drew live at the show, but I took pictures as well. And then I worked from one of the pictures and just adapted, um, you know, all of this to sort of recreate the background slightly and play with the colors to achieve the final drawing. The rest were done in a similar way, just trying to catch things, get the feel of the show, trying to draw as much as possible, and then working between those drawings and photos to try and sort of fill in the gaps to get a little bit more detail. Is that how people, Patrick, when Fida visit the shows, is that how people generally work? Pictures, drawings,
Um,
work on it
so
after?
so when they draw backstage, they tend
Mm,
they tend to just some people work from photographs, but I really because the models don't move much backstage,
mm,
which is quite nice because they're doing their hair and makeup.
yes.
You do have that.
Ah, yes.
You have the 5 minutes of them not moving much, but on the fashion
Yeah,
show, unfortunately, it's too fast. It's
yeah,
it's there, they're come and gone, and you can just capture probably about 3 lines and a mark,
yeah,
and I think
yeah.
that's
Proper
it. That's so.
gesture
So
stuff.
we've now tried to do more of the casting. So we go to the casting day, and we also do
Ah,
the backstage. And the backstage for someone like you would be gold because
yeah,
there's great moments, and they're there for I would say 5 to 15 minutes. So you've got long enough
yeah.
to really.
Captive audience.
Yes, you've got a great opportunity to capture something, and then if they can, they
Yeah,
photograph stuff on the shows, and then afterwards, they kind of go away and do some little extra drawings. I remember we had Connie Lim.
sure.
Connie Lim was drawing live,
Yes.
and she managed to do some amazing stuff while the show was happening.
Oh, right.
I don't know how she did it, but she did it.
Yeah,
And I think
yeah.
she was wearing a big furry hat, and the sweat was just pouring off her.
Still managed to look good throughout. Like she managed to keep up appearances while she.
Classic Connie. And but
Wow.
but but like you were saying earlier, is Connie not only draws every day, all day,
Yeah,
she educates people how to draw. She's a constant
yeah,
drawing machine. So when she
yeah.
does go, and she was telling me like
It's
before
there.
she's training, she like a football trainer,
Yeah,
trains before she actually came. She got up early on
yeah,
the day and did some test drawings. She went outside, did some more drawings, and then she was just drawing live. So she's always preparing herself, like as if you go life drawing,
yeah. Always warm.
you're warm, and I think
Mm,
it's great to see someone like Connie and even
mm.
yourself kind of grappling with the moment, and then it kind of comes out at the end, and having that faith.
Yeah,
I think there's a lot of faith in the in the process. There's faith in the process.
Yes. Yeah, that's it. And it is such a buzz as well. It's like such a thrill. It's a roller coaster, isn't it? I mean, people are coming so fast and you've got people watching you as well. So you're really like in the spotlight, it's a little bit different. People are interested. It's creative in a creative environment. So yeah, absolutely. That's fascinating. Really interesting to hear about Connie. Um, yeah, and I that links really nicely because the next thing was just personal perspective on fashion and illustration. I guess just the big thing is just being distinctly different in function to photography. You offer so much more. Photography has a function and you can style and you can create things, but you have a very, very individual voice as an illustrator to be able to produce things that can be quite abstract in nature, but really try and key in to the mood, channeling it through the tools and through the shapes and the color. You've got so many things to work with to be able to, you know, curate something that really embodies a mood, a moment. So, yeah, I mean that's for me what always just excites me about drawing the figure and moving away from the photo as much as possible, just to have fun. I put this was an extract from the same, yeah, just the fashion focus course that I was doing on figure, and it's just about focusing on like the marks and how you're going to bring the attention up in. Are you going to fade the hand out? Do you need that hand? Is it important for you? Are you going to bring the attention up in through the marks of the garment? And are you going to give more structure to what's happening at the top, create more symmetry, really force those triangles because they're shapes that will help to lead the viewer's eye? Are you going to play with color to try and give some interest, unify things by bringing little bits of that color into the head, into the neck, all things that you can't necessarily do in a photograph. And it's just for me about embracing that. And I think I'm going to flick around here because I think that really leads into this one. So it's just enjoy the process and everyone will see that you enjoyed the process. I always stop students when they're making marks and just say, are you enjoying it? Look at the way it goes on, look at the colors, look at the way that it bleeds or blends, and just enjoy it. Really enjoy that feeling, the tactility of it. Because now more than ever, with the emergence and development of AI, we should be moving away from the literal and just having fun, just involving expression in what we produce. That's where we rule, and I think we will always rule. It's just that individuality. Let's challenge it.
The big,
um,
the big topic of AI, and I think we had someone else on, and they were saying, it's almost like the moment from painting to photography, and we're almost moving from AI to drawing again. And I think there
yeah,
will be a big resurgence in people with the ability to draw and show
yeah,
qualities of skill and technique. And I think that's going to really, and we've noticed, in universities dropping drawing, not doing life drawing as much. So that group is becoming more redundant, and there'll be a
yes.
desirability for what you're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think just before I mention what I'm kind of working on at the moment, just kind of current project, just as advice is just to build your skills and in a way that you enjoy. So just just really enjoy putting things together. And I know it can be challenging to see sometimes that you're not necessarily hitting the goals that you want to, but it gradually builds. And if you keep a sketchbook, you will see from the front to the back, developments, and it won't always be proportions and placement. It will be your ability to be able to handle the materials, or, maybe you've got a little bit more confidence with color. Maybe you're choosing some different subjects. So, like, all of those things are, massive amounts of progress. I said to, yeah, build your skills drawing anywhere and everywhere. Just making sure that you're just recording things. And it doesn't even have to be sitting down and drawing everything that you draw, everything that you see in front of you. But you could also just be, recording things on one page and then making things up on the next page. You will be influenced by the things that you see. Draw one part of someone. Draw some legs while they're standing there and then give them a different top half, like really have fun with it, and just play with those shapes. I always think the fusion of the literal and the imagined is a really interesting place to be. People, yeah, and that really helps with the shows. If you're going to do any live drawing, then just having those shapes in your mind, in your muscle memory, will help you to, be able to do it when you need to do it. Keep them simple. Look for a flow and just embrace that flow. Find the flow in the way that they're moving and don't worry about anything else. Yeah, that would be, and yeah, above all, really, really just enjoy it. I'm just going to go back to, yeah, just something. The next thing that I'm doing, basically what I'm working on at the moment is, just currently working on the return of the faces, the Gambrell way course, which is a 6-week course online. And we'll be looking at the kind of fundamentals of building portraits, but also moving into color, mark making, composition, like all of those things that allow you to produce something powerful in your own voice. Yes. So that's kind of me,
Good.
really, Patrick.
Well, I've sat through your courses a few times now, and I guess when I went to university, I had multiple different experiences, but I guess with your approach to it's almost like drawing through sculpture, and I didn't know
Yeah.
you did. I didn't understand that you did sculpture, but now I can definitely see how you think
Yes.
like a sculptor in drawing, and it's
Yeah.
really become quite clear. And I always thought, why does he think like that? And you kind of draw in forms that build slowly into smaller forms and shapes, and I think that's it. It's a real construction, where a lot of people, I guess, and you do have faith in your process, and I think
Mm,
that's
mm.
a real where some people would go through that sort of drawing moment where it's not working and then they don't go out the other end, they it ends. And I think a
Yeah.
lot of illustrators have a sort of maybe a twee style of it's all very nice and it's all thought out, where yours is a little bit of a wrestling match, and then
Yeah.
there's a winner, which is
Yeah.
usually hopefully you. Um, and
Or,
that
or I
that's
learned
it.
something.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I think it's it's really not, and it was good to see them early works. I've never seen them really your beginning pieces to where
Yeah.
they've
Isn't it?
really transformed. I think it's amazing the transformation from when you were showing them early pieces, which are you could see more like animation
Yes.
illustration,
Different feel
now.
completely. Yeah.
A
Yeah.
totally different vibe,
Yeah.
I can see a little bit of William Kentridge and people like that. Well, I'd love to see
Yeah.
animation come into your work. And
Yeah.
one of the things that Laird, who commissioned you, I think for Vogue, Laird Borelli Pearson,
Yeah. Leo Borelli. Yeah.
So asked me about illustrators, and obviously I knew she'd commissioned you. But one thing she's
Mm.
really been requesting mostly is people videoing themselves drawing more. And I think
Ah,
it's one element that a little tip to you is showing more of them video like reels of your process because you have loads of process videos and it
I
would be
do.
nice to see because she wants to see them and you're seeing what they've been showcasing by I'm
Yes.
trying to remember their names but there's a few illustrators who have been showing lots of reels and we had one but I think for you Chris that sort of work in progress videos of reels
Yeah.
people would love to be seeing that, and that is a request we've had. Is where is these not just from you, from anybody,
Yeah. In
and
general. Yeah.
we've just been trying to push it because people want to see the journeys of this quick 2 to 3 minute sketch, far speeded up of you going from nothing to some, and you can do that. I think most of your work you could do in a few minutes.
I yeah. Yeah. Yeah, probably. Yeah.
So
That's a good tip.
there's a little tip back for you, Chris, because I know it's in there, and it's been a request for me, and I've pushed a few people to do it, and they've had results from it. So there are Vogue are
Fantastic.
asking for process-based drawing for their blogs, for their online, and it's paid work as well, which is quite nice. So
Okay.
get
Yes.
that back into your flow.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Patrick. Yeah, good to know.
But
Superb.
And I guess, well, firstly, Chris, thanks for joining us again because I know you're busy doing courses and we're recommending
Mm.
people to do your courses because one is there's sort of an intellectual side to drawing as well. Is there's a real wealth of knowledge from composition to structure to form,
Mm.
color, color understanding, mixed media, being
Yeah.
playful
Yeah.
drawing from almost shapes and forms and triangles. It's I think everything's covered in your course. So from zero to
Yeah.
hero, I think there's
I hope so.
a real breadth. So we recommend anyone who knows us to join in on your space, and you're a great person as well. So that they all
Oh,
come together.
oh, back at you. Thank you very much, Patrick. That's very kind. No, it's been a pleasure. Thank you very much for inviting me to have this yeah, chance to talk. It's been really interesting. So
Brilliant. But thank
thank
you.
you.
And let's keep in
You're
touch. And
welcome.
I'll be looking forward to
Yes.
seeing some reels.
Yes. Yeah, coming your way, Patrick.
Good man. Cheers, Chris. Thank
All
you.
right.
Speak
Thanks a
soon.
lot.
Have a good
Speak
one.
soon.
Bye bye.
Bye.